Big Picture Podcast Inside Big Picture Health app. And today I'm super excited to be introducing my amazing friend Rikki. We've known each other for quite a long time, and Rikki is someone who has certainly had some battles to face. And I have admired her every step of the way. Sometimes I don't know how she's gotten herself through, and I'm grateful that I've been along for the ride.
Thank you.
And I know that everyone here listening is going to hear something that resonates with them, and I know that that you're going to find something that you can take away and use in your life. And that's why Rikki has agreed to have a chat with us, because that's something that she's quite passionate about.
Very passionate about it. And you're not alone.
Yeah.
We all go through different periods in our life, and it's really tough, but you all have it in it to move through it and become better people. So,
yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I know everyone else will too. So I just wanted to start out. Why don't you just give everyone a bit of a background? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, we've sort of spoken a little bit about what you're passionate about. Where do you spend your energy?
Okay. Well, I spend most of my energy on my family, which most of us all do at this stage. And we always forget about ourselves. So I moved here when I was 3. So I used to be Lennox head person all my life, and had a really good raising with my family and everything. So that was all good. And then I moved away when I was 18 and studied, and then got a job up in the Whitsundays, and then moved back. And then I ran into this chick, and we played a lot of sport together. I think I blew my knee out in the grand final, and I had to stand on court because of it, because of the numbers.
Yeah, we couldn't finish the game.
We all had our babies together. I think, who was first? Pete.
Pete was first, and then I think probably you and I.
And me, then
our
you,
kids,
and then everybody else. They all had boys. Oh, except Pete had Georgia, so that was all right. But I sort of, when I moved back here, my whole family decided to move away, so I don't really have anybody here with me, so I was all alone, and I had a great network of friends playing lots of sport. But sometimes really difficult. So when I was 23, I think it was, I started having a heart condition that I didn't really know what it was, but I used to pass out all the time, and ended up in emergency with the doctors looking at me going, "You've got AF, she's got AF." So that was atrial fibrillation. So I actually had a very serious heart condition where you could just drop dead or have a heart attack. So I got medicated for that, and there's a bit of a history behind that. But ended up getting married, met a local boy, and we're still married, and we have 2 beautiful daughters. I work for his family, and we work together. So
that's a challenge in itself.
That's a massive challenge. I actually, I'll get to the end of the story in a minute. And so, my eldest daughter was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. That was really overwhelming and a lot to take on board, because I was working full time at the time I had her, and I had to adapt a whole huge change because she was nonverbal. She couldn't even talk. And so that was probably the first big major hiccup in my life with that. And then at the same time, I was actually, my heart changed to having ectopics as well as atrial fibrillation. So my health was terrible. I was working full time whilst trying to learn about having a daughter with autism who couldn't even talk. So I was trying to balance everything, and my husband is a workaholic, so he worked all the time, and I really felt like I was single parenting it all the time. And this lasted a long time. I ended up having a miscarriage on my second child, which was devastating because I got 3 months into it. And then finally came along my second child. So it was really blessed and felt very happy to have my 2 girls. But I actually had to go back to work when she was 2 weeks old.
You didn't have any time, did you?
I had no time with her, and I remember having this little baby at work and trying to breastfeed, and there are photographs of me sitting there with the phone with the baby, breastfeeding. I was trying to multitask at work. So it was a family business, so very supportive, and we passed the baby around and stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of work, and my milk ran out because of the stress of it. So I ended up going to bottle feeding, which I felt a bit better about with the second one, but with the first one, I was really paranoid about being the perfect mother.
I think every mother has that. There's pressure, isn't there, in motherhood?
Absolutely, a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations to be the perfect mum. And I had a really different kid, a really different baby. And I think with the first one, you don't know any better until you get to that point and you go, okay. So it was actually... the story of discovering that my child was very different was a day in daycare, and I was listening to a father and a daughter have a conversation about putting sunscreen on. You get a stamp, and having this wonderful conversation. And I knew the girl was in the classroom lower than my daughter, and my daughter's up the hallway, and I'm calling her, and she wasn't even listening. And I was just like going, wow, my daughter doesn't even talk like that. And I actually started questioning it, and that's when they said to me, we've got serious concerns for your daughter. We need to have an immediate meeting. And it all went from there. So it was that's another really big story, but it was really full on.
Yeah. And that would have been such a shock too, because you've got
it's no one wants your kid. When you go and you finally get a diagnosis for your kid, yes, it's a relief. For me, it was hope. Like it was like, right, know what it is. Let's move on. Let's figure out what we can do, how we get help, how we support her, how we get the skills to work through this together. For my partner, it was like death.
Yeah.
He actually grieved for 6 months. It was really hard. And, all these, we went to a lot of pre-parenting meetings before it. And, it was 98% of families, like relationships that have an autistic child, end up in divorce. 98%.
It's huge, isn't it?
It's really high. That was like many years ago. I don't know what it is now, but it's really challenging for families when you've never even heard of it before, and you have to teach your kid how to talk. So it's always been a real struggle with her. And then my other daughter was diagnosed late in the game, and I think because she's Mars, and we basically had a family base with autism schedules and visuals all the time, that it went unnoticed. And so they're both going really well. We do lots of therapy, and most people wouldn't have any clue that my girls have different things. So there's and it comes with many more other things that come along the way, which are disheartening. I tell you, you just go, come on, like haven't they got enough on their plate? Like, you're really going to slap that extra thing onto them in their life when they're going through so much adversity.
Do you want to give an example of something?
Okay,
like that?
So both my girls have similar diagnosis, but so the first one, she was diagnosed with autism. At the time, it was non-pervasive development disorder, but then later on, they all came together under the same umbrella.
Right.
And then they have level 1, level 2, and that's specifically important when you're applying for NDIS funding.
Right. And that would be a whole other thing.
Yeah, and funding and paperwork, I've become very good at that. So she started, so her disorder gradually grew into, like, I think you've got ADHD, you have problems with executive functioning, OCD, like obsessional things about things or routines. And then she developed an anxiety disorder because she was so different. And then the anxiety is the worst enemy. I hate anxiety. Even today, it's such a crippling thing. And then after that, when she came into the end of primary school before high school, which is a really difficult time for young girls.
Yes, definitely.
She was diagnosed with Tourettes when she was 7, and we didn't really see any signs of that till later in primary school, the year 6 class. So her first day of school, because we couldn't disguise it, it was very loud and vocal. That Christmas before she started was horrendous. We would be in the street and people would stare and gawk or comment because they didn't understand it, but it was so upsetting. And as a parent, I felt so desperate. We were buying books. I'd never had to deal with it so open in society, or like even we went on a plane trip and I had people abusing my daughter because she couldn't contain herself, and she had to cop all that negative attention on top of everything else she was struggling through. So it was a really heartbreaking time. So
did the anxiety follow on from
well,
that?
so
or was that
it creates more anxiety, and then so what I've learned with the Tourette tics is that anxiety actually creates more Tourette tics.
Right.
And so so her first day of Year 6 was getting up in front of 60 students and telling them about Tourette's. So she was exceptionally brave and very inspirational. My eldest daughter, I'm so proud of her.
She truly is, and just a little history on that too. That's not the first time that she's stood up in front of her class to tell them about what's happened with her, and this is something I found it phenomenal that she was able to do it at such a young age. And we actually used that for quite a while in our health education on advocating for yourself and your health, and used Ayla's example. So she is a really brave young girl.
She is, and she's never not wanted to be who she is. She hates some of the things sometimes, but she's all for it. You are who you are, and she feels like she's special and different, and she has such endurance and just this inner overwhelming expression to be part of this world. It's incredible, and she still has many battles all the time, but she's pretty amazing now, and she's overcome so much. So if you're a parent out there and you have a daughter that has special needs, don't ever underestimate them. They're actually really incredible, and their disabilities are actually their assets to their person. That's what makes them special. They're different and they're special, and I think society looks down upon them, but their differences are actually amazing. They actually make them very different but inspiring individuals. And if you just get to know who they are, what they're like, it'll inspire you. Just society has a different look on it, and stigmas. No one likes a label. We don't like labels, but it does help to get a diagnosis because it gives you a path in life to move forward.
It serves a purpose, but it doesn't actually. It's not.
But it's not
helpful sometimes.
It's not helpful, and it doesn't define who you are.
100%. Yeah.
My kids have battled with that, but to be honest, when I've asked them how they feel about having these different things upon them, they actually find it relieving because they understand, they've learned a lot about the different things, and they don't use it as an excuse because we've raised in that. Society doesn't give a shit about your differences. You just have to learn to, blend in, as many women or girls with autism learn to camouflage. They're both very good at masking just to get through their day. But I still want individuals who have their differences to be true to yourself. Be who you want to be. Believe in yourself. And it's so funny because Callie was recommending some help recently and I showed my girls the information, and both of them said to me, I'm not sure about that, Mum, because I like the way my brain thinks and I like the way I am. I think I'm special, and I'm not sure about changing the way my brain thinks, and I like me for who I am. And I was telling Kelly, and she's like, well, that's a high five moment, Rick.
Absolutely. I was like, yes, Mum.
Because
totally
all that stuff you drill into your girls is actually evident in their reaction.
100%.
Their response. So that was kind of a winning mum moment.
Yeah. I was glowing from the inside out going, how amazing is it that you've been able to instill that in your kids? Because for women, just in general, without those challenges, that can be half of the struggle.
Yeah.
And so, you've been able to do that with your girls with those additional challenges, and that's pretty special. So,
and, we look at life as a mountain, and you start at the bottom and then you move your way up through the top, and it's hard, it's challenging, but once you get to the top, you can look back at the view. And I do that a lot with my eldest daughter. But Lily, she's at the bottom of the mountain.
She's got a long way
So
to
I
go.
kind of go, pull your socks up. It's go time, gotta do it all again. And she's really different. So I find her exceptionally challenging because I don't have all the tools for that one. So I'm learning all over again with a different personality. And that has rewards as well because she's just as special and unique in different ways. So you learn to appreciate the differences in your kids.
And I love that along this journey that you've had, you have really just dived in and learned as much as you can. You've had such an open mind to using different strategies and techniques, and you're also very aware that your girls are different. And you've been very I suppose proactive in supporting them in the way that they truly need, and I think that's a real benefit as well.
Thank you. You have to be because you can't leave it up to other people to take care of everything all the time because it mightn't go to plan. And you might say that's helicopter parenting, which I have been told I was a little bit like that to begin with. But as your kids get older, your kids go through so much stuff. There's so many traumatic things that happen, like meltdowns over like the littlest things. So you build up this blanket and worry of concern. There's constant flagging. There's constant social stories. There's constant psychology pep talks before you go somewhere so you can, prepare them just for going to a barbecue or people coming to your house. So when we first moved into this house, we couldn't have visitors for the first 2 years because the space was new and it was very overwhelming. And so, we've even had massive milestones over many things in the last 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Like my oldest daughter has a job now, so I never thought that she'd get there to being such an independent, responsible person because, things like self-responsibility or organising skills are really challenging with autistic kids. You should be here in the morning, people. They've gotten better, and I feel that I have nearly accomplished most things with my first daughter, except for all the boy stuff, relationship stuff, which is yet to come. But I think she's a really good wholesome person. She's very respectful.
Yes, she is. And I think Lily is a beautiful soul as well, and you might take a different path up the mountain, but you'll definitely get there.
Oh, we will. They're good kids. So you give. I guess if you ask me what I do at the moment, I give everything to my family. Having kids with special needs takes a lot of energy. There's many meetings. There's lots of preparation for school. I was just saying to Kelly, I spent an hour and a half writing emails to teachers yesterday in preparation for the year's assessment tasks and education, making sure that they're on board with, have you read the notes on my kid? Are you aware of support plans in place? Just making sure we're a tight team before the year commences because, as you say, you've got to put the work in because if you don't, and everything falls apart, the whole world falls apart. Anxiety comes in, you have problems, little problems start arising, like, hey, let's go to training today. I don't want to go to training. Well, why not? I just don't want to go to training. And they start making excuses about doing dancing or piano lessons. They don't want to leave the house. All that comes from all the other disorganization in their life. So if you keep everything balanced, which for mums is very hard, and I get it, but if you can try and keep the balance in your family homes, I find it just takes a load off. But it does take a lot of work to get it happening. Does that make sense?
It does. It totally does. And I think, every mum or every woman out there can relate to that in some way. And so you've given a lot of, all of this is done while you've been working full time, while you've been building a house, and you've lots going on, right? So, it's been full on. And
I look back the last 5 years and go, how did I survive? Because it all started with a knee reconstruction. Which was actually quite severe. I ended up in surgery for 4 hours, and it was supposed to be only an hour and a half surgery, so I did a good job. Followed by my first heart surgery, so I had an ablation because things got too dangerous for me. And technology's changed, because when I first got diagnosed, it was open heart surgery with 30% chance of death. And all the pills you take for your heart health, they damage your organs over time. And I'd been 14 years and I really needed to do something. And I met a really cool doctor on the Gold Coast at the cardio centre. And he'd been in America and he'd been doing these new surgeries. And he said, I believe we can help you. So that was fun. So I had the knee reconstruction and then that Christmas, and then I had the heart surgery in, I think, March or April. No, it must have been March, because we moved into this house in April, and I still had bruising from one of my arteries popped after the surgery of my first heart surgery, because I got sick with the stuff that makes you go to sleep. What do you call it?
Oh, the anesthetic.
Yeah, that stuff. So the concoction wasn't helpful, and so when you come out of heart surgery, you're lay flat, and you have to lay flat for 6 hours. And they went through both my crutch through major arteries just above your legs there.
Yeah.
And so I was violently ill when I woke up. And obviously you want to throw up, but you can't get up. And so the effort of your body convulsion popped the arteries, and I had 3 nurses with sandbags holding my leg down. And I remember it because when we moved to the house, I wasn't allowed to lift anything because of my knee and my heart surgery. So we had to get lots of helpers. And I actually own and built my rock walls and my pool out the back.
Yeah.
I was in charge
Which is
of
beautiful.
that.
Yes.
And so it was very rewarding when the water went in. And so I remember standing at the top of that pool, and I'd stripped down, and everyone's staring at me go, oh my God, what happened to you? Because I had, the blood had leaked all the way down my thigh. Right. And I had this bruise from like right up here on my hip down to the above my knee from where the artery had popped and bled out.
God.
So that was my second one. And then this is amongst so much turmoil with my kids, trust me. I had so much crap with my kids, and exclusion, bullying, not wanting to go to school. We had backup plans every day. We had so much stuff going on with this at the same time. And I had a neighbour from hell who was building next to us at the same time, causing so many problems. And so finally had the first heart surgery. Didn't quite fix it.
No.
So I left it a little bit, because you're supposed to have a recovery time period. I think I left it for like 6 months, and it got to Christmas, and I really was unwell, and I was struggling with so many ectopics, and it had changed to episodes of tachycardia, where I would walk somewhere and feel exhausted.
Yes.
And so I ended up going back to cardiologist, and he was actually really surprised to see me again. Anyway, my heartbeat would skip. We worked out, I think it was like 15,000 times in a day, which is when your heart pauses and ectopic skips, it's like that adrenaline fix. So you like dropped your keys in water, or you left your kids somewhere and don't know where they go. That horrible, and that would do it every 3 or 6 seconds for me. You'd pause, drop out, and then come back in with a really big thud. And so that was me constantly for years, and I learnt to live with it, but I think if someone had to experience that for even 5 minutes, you'd feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
And you look normal. So it was funny, during the period of all these heart surgeries, I would have heart monitors on.
Yeah.
And the moment I put one on, everybody was so friendly, so loving, and so don't lift that, I'll carry that. Don't do that, I'll do this. But it was no different from me not having it on. So I found that really humorous.
And I suppose too, like there's a lot of women, who have issues, health issues of some sort. And, there's a big expectation for us just to get on with life and live life, because it's not a visible thing.
No.
And, that's something that I think we do struggle with. When you don't have a visible illness or something that, indicates to someone else that, hey, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
We have our own expectations on ourselves, and there is the other, well, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do that? And it becomes really difficult to slow down. And I know that's been something that you struggled with.
It used to make me so angry, because you suffer in silence. No one has no idea. And I know everyone's got their own stories, but for women take on so much. Like if you've got a health issue like I had, you just suck it up and move on, because you just got to get on with life, because there's so many other important things that come before yourself, which is a bad mistake. I learned that a hard way. And then, so in my situation, I was working full time. I had a very responsible job. I was in charge of a lot of things. So creative director, graphic designer, pre-production manager, in charge of the logistics and environmental sustainability, as well as dealing with people and accounts. So as every day, and freight, which is logistics. So it was stressful whilst running around with therapy appointments, having a heart condition that no one really understood. I'd had moments where I'd actually pass out on the floor in the early days, and when an ambulance should have been called, I learned. And I would just lay there, and then I'd get up later, and then I'd be all right, you know. I ignored it to the point my brother got really upset with me one day because he lost a patient. She was a 22-year-old girl, and they were trying to get her to hospital. She was in the back seat of her mother's car. She had atrial fibrillation, the same thing I have, and she died before she made it to hospital.
Wow.
So he really scared me. So how seriousness, and you really need to listen. One thing I've learned for women is that sometimes you have to put yourself first. Listen to what's going on, because if you don't, you're gonna burn out. Because I didn't listen.
And what sorts of things do you recommend? Like, so in order, like, for someone to be able to stop and pay attention, it's obviously easier to push it down. How do you sort of tap into that? Do you feel what things have you been able to?
What, to keep going?
Yeah, and just understand that now's the time and don't push too long, and also once you've been through that struggle, how do you get back up again?
Oh, I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes. I think you have those moments where you feel so alone and helpless. Do you know what I mean? No one's really listening to you. You feel broken. And I was just saying to Kel, you feel trapped. Because some people don't have that way out all the time to focus on themselves, because they're in charge of another human being. They're responsible for finances that keep their family going. So many other people in their life depend on them.
Yeah.
So if you're a genuine good person, which I believe most of us all are, you will sacrifice absolutely anything to keep everybody else going, and you look at yourself last. And so the signs that for me was just, actually it was people. First of all, it was people coming up to me going, you look terrible. You look absolutely, which is not nice, because you don't like being told, oh, you look tired all the time. It's really shitty. So I had a lot of people telling me that, and reach out to your friends. If you see someone, ask them if they're okay. Ask them for a cup of tea. Make time out for them, because I think if I'd had a little bit more of that, I would have come to the decision faster. But literally, it was my sister-in-law that was my breaking point for me. The universe spoke. This was last year for me. I ran into her on the corner of a street in Ballina, down the main street. I was doing my mad runaround, and I'd had a really bad day with the kids, stuff happening at school, trying to deal with teachers and stuff that just don't get your kids, and just trying to build resilience in the kids and say, suck it up, come on, and this is the school you go to, so this is the environment you have to learn to work in, so come on. And then I think work was really stressful, and I'd had 3 heart surgeries, so my heart health was all fixed by this stage last year. I was really grateful for that. But I ran into her, and we literally like that. It was really funny, and I hadn't seen her for a few months, and she saw me. She goes, "Oh, are you all right?" She gave me a really big hug. Hugs are important, physical hugs. Gave me a really big hug, and she pushed back. She said, "Are you all right? you don't look all right. What's going on? And I end up bursting out crying in the middle of the street, which is not like me, is it?
No, not at all.
And I said to her, I'm really unhappy. I'm so exhausted. I can't keep going. I just need a change. And she said, why don't you make a change? And I'm like, I'm scared because what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to afford this? I said, I just need a break. And COVID, can't go anywhere. And I said, I can't get a break. And, you know, people suffered in COVID big time. And I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to my family. Everyone was in isolation or dealing with their own demons with COVID. And it was really challenging for me and my family. And we were still working, but things at work were changing. And so I've worked with my husband for 18 and a half years in business. And we get along really well. But I found in the end the combination of having a family business, him and his brothers, was really good. But it also was ruining our, all we knew was work, like a work relationship.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was.
Yes.
He's forgotten who he is. We've forgotten how we were. To the point where I actually sat down one day and went, what do I like?
Yeah.
What do I enjoy? And I couldn't think of anything. I was like, how messed up is this? Like that you've forgotten what you want to do or enjoy. And I think it's hard for women to stop.
Yes. And it's hard for us to actually put ourselves first and ask ourselves those questions. And the fact that you stopped and did ask yourself those questions, I think is really important because, you know, we just plow through so often and we tell ourselves that we can't make a change.
Yeah. And
sometimes we just have to stop and pause and really just reflect. We were talking about reflection before. You've got to stop and reflect and have a think about, is this, you know, is this what I like? Is this what I need? Is this helping or helpful?
Yeah.
You know, and is this fueling my soul? Because if you have nothing left here, and you love to give to someone else, and most of us do love giving, but if you've got nothing left, how do you give from something that's empty? You know,
and if you break in your family and you're keeping it together, then it breaks.
Yeah.
And then you're really in trouble. So I was broken, and also help from your friends, people that have known you for a really long time, is very supportive. I think Kels copped a lot of my emotional outbursts and bad moments, and we've both been through full-on struggles in the last 6 months. Probably the biggest struggles of our whole entire life. There's been a few, but it's a transitional change for us at the moment. We're both going through a lot of change. So I ended up coming to a massive decision where I decided to quit my job.
Yeah.
That was step one in trying to fix everything in my life. And I had no support.
And making a decision where you feel like you're unsupported is really difficult. So, and you backed yourself because you knew that you needed a change. And I think that shows huge resilience, because it's really hard for us sometimes to step up and say, no, this is what I need, because you knew that you couldn't keep going.
No, and it's also good to have like a little bit of, like a, what do you call it? Like a plan. You need a plan, and you can fantasize about it, but eventually you start putting little small steps into that plan, and it actually starts coming together.
Yeah.
And I think the universe will give back. I know that sounds weird, but it will give back to you if you give back to yourself. Does that make sense? Like, it was very traumatic. So I actually gave 3 months notice, and I left work, and that was a big heavy load to pass on. It was huge and very devastating for my husband. That was very challenging for us. And you know, I didn't do it alone. Like, I had support from friends. In the end, friends that you don't think, and you don't want to tell everybody your business too. So it's, you know, this is, even talking about it now, but you know, I want you to know that you're not alone. And I'm really passionate about helping people, and women have it hard. It's tough. And so I ended up making this decision. I finished up with work, and I decided to have time off.
Yeah.
So here I am still on time off. Although I'm feeling pressure.
Yeah.
I've actually had my little break, and I'm happier, and I feel much healthier. My well-being is right back up there. I'm feeling so much better about myself. I actually feel like what I lived before was past life.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I actually feel like I'm a different person in the same life, but it's like different.
Yeah.
So it was really a new beginning moving forward for my whole family. And eventually my other loved ones came around, but yeah, that was hard at first because I had a lot of negativity at first, which really broke me.
Humans resist change, and I think
it's
easy for people to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
And even when it's interesting and you don't think about it, but when someone else makes a change, that changes your perception of the world and how you see it when that one person makes a change. And so you will resist that change, even though it's not your decision to make.
Well, this is how it kind of went. Here you are, I've stepped through the door and I'm walking my way. I'm going. And I'm basically said to everybody, you either come with me or you don't come. And that's met with a lot of people like hanging them, dragging their feet while you're moving. You're dragging them along and you're like, come on. That was for a long time. You're like, come on. I'm going. You gotta come with me or you don't come at all, And that's challenging for yourself because you can so easily fall back into the similar patterns where you came from because it's easy. You can so easily slip back in there, but fight for what you want. You made a big change. Keep going. You'll get there in the end. And I'm not there, but I'm doing a dream that I always wanted to do was write children's books for special need kids. And so I haven't illustrated for a long time, and I'm a graphic designer. I love drawing. So I have discovered my passion in life is to help others. But I also love painting and drawing. And so I'm working on a book.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So that for me has been fun. I've found fun back again in my life. And look, I am feeling a bit of pressure at the moment because financially we still need money for the family to run, and we're living off one wage, and that puts a lot of pressure on the family. And I got long service leave, so I'm eating at that, which I really didn't want to because that's like my personal. I don't know if you ever talk about money, Kel, but women always share their money with their husbands, and it's always a joint thing. And I think women should have their own money. Because then you don't feel questioned about stuff, and you can feel like you've got a bit of your own power, not having to share it all the time. I've never had that. Well, I did when I was younger, but not for a long time. And as I'm coming into my husband's company's going really well, and he's there to support me and the family, but I want my own. I want my own success. I want my own money. It's late in the game, but it's never too late.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and Kels a bit the same. Like, it's freaking scary.
It is. And the thing I suppose you have to realise is it took you a long time to build up to where you were before you made a change. And when you make a change again, it's going to take a little bit of time. And it might be a little bit tough because the first road was tough. The first time you did it was probably a bit tough too. And
coming to the decision stuff.
That's right. And
it's life changing. And that's the thing that I kept feeling guilty and selfish. Guilty and selfish were the first things. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? No, it's my time. I have given myself to everybody for so many years. And like the 5 years before, all the things I've struggled with, the surgery, the kids, the house. And you'll laugh about my house because my house was a brand new house and it's been renovated like about 10 times. My floor's been redone 4 times. I had cracks in my ceiling. So it's a brand new house that we spent all this money on, and I've had all these people through it as well. So all this shit happened, and then for what? Are you happy? Did you get what you wanted out of it? I kind of did, but material things isn't what it's all about. Like, ask yourself, are you happy?
Yeah.
And if you are, awesome. But if you're not, be brave.
Yeah.
Be brave. Make a choice. Yes, it might ruffle a few feathers and everybody will have to bounce around you, but why should you do everything for everybody else your whole entire life?
Yeah. And I think we will naturally still do that. And, because you're often that kind of person. I think we have this idea that if we stop doing something for, if we start doing something for ourselves, we'll stop doing it for someone else, but
you don't.
You don't.
It's built in, unfortunately, and I think that as women, it's automatically built in. So I'm still doing, and I laugh because I haven't even got a job yet, and my weeks are crazy. Like with all the stuff, I've been into school for a meeting this week because of bullying. I've had a pediatric appointment. I've had a psychiatric appointment on the Gold Coast. I've had car problems. It's just like endless stuff in a week, and women deal with that on a normal basis. I'm sure you do. There's lots of things that hiccup in the way. Then you've got running your household, doing your bills, and then if you're working full time, you're doing that as well. So, as long as you're loving, make time for yourself.
What do you do? What's something that you do?
I never actually made time for myself at all.
Yeah.
It's hard actually. It's really hard. And that sounds stupid, but I found it really hard. I felt really embarrassed making an appointment for a massage. Oh, should I spend that money? Should I go to that for myself? Yes, you should.
Yes.
So, what did I do first? I think I went for a medi-pedi, which was hilarious. I'm not one of those. Not against you if that's one of your things, but I'm not that kind of person. Like where I worked, I couldn't have nail polish and stuff, and I wear boots every day to work. And so I did that as a treat to experience it. And I know why women do that now. It's quite good. And I started taking better care of my health, actually.
Yeah.
I actually put a whole pile of weight on straight after because I stopped putting pressure on myself to eat right, to exercise right. Which you do need to do, but I'll tell you, it comes around in a balance when you're ready. Yeah. When you're ready for it, things will come back around. But if you wake up in the morning and your alarm goes off and you go, oh, I've got to go to the gym, if you mentally feel tired, you're allowed to lay in bed. Yes, you can. You might have that little inner voice saying, no, get up and go. You can still get up and go. You don't have to go every day. Like I was going every day. Don't have a lay-in. Treat yourself. If you're tired, if you need to start reading those things about yourself, whether you're tired or I've learned to read myself better. Not push myself for other people.
Do you think that came because you stopped?
Saying no.
You stopped and you said no.
Yeah.
And you said, okay, now I can actually hear what's going on. I can see what's going on for me. And I need to listen.
Even to the point with my kids. My kids, it's training them. They get in the car and they vent. And they tell me about all the days that they dump all their shit in your backyard. And so you actually were in the car quite relaxed. And by the time you get home, you're like because they've just unloaded, and then they get out of the car and they're all happy. And you go, what just happened? And so to the point where I've actually gone, put your headphones in. Yeah. We'll talk about it later. You know, and then I do them separately at different times. And if it's really stressful and important, we'll talk about it. Yeah. But I've learned to actually go, no, and spread it. Women take on so much stuff. So I've actually got, and my husband was totally for this. Yeah. They're taking over some of their roles and listening to the kids, what their problems are, or helping out with other problems, things that they need advice on or, strategies for. He started taking more of an active role because he could tell that I was dying. It was just eating me. Yeah. And it was just killing me. And so that's a big help when, even if it's your mum or your dad, like a grandparent, just taking that little dose away was really better for my well-being.
And we sort of talk about this a little bit in Big Picture Health, is preparing others for your transition and asking for their support in a way that they feel important and valued as well, but then still allows you that little bit extra time. And so preparing someone for that transition and talking about it is really, really important. I know you're big on that.
It is. Well, look, one of the biggest key rules of your success, I think, is having perspective. And it's also opening up to your kids about your day, your mood, your tone. So they may drop it with attitude or have something silly that's the most important thing in the world for them. Because sometimes you have to drop base. You have to give them perspective on things. And you can use that with something that you've had hardships during the day, or some other experience you've read about a person the same age going through hardships and how easy they've got it, or or it might help relating to something if they're going through something difficult. You're not alone. I know someone else is going through that. So perspective, if you can drop hints of perspective taking throughout your day, and I know that's hard. You don't have to do a psychology session, but even when you're cooking dinner or you're talking about something and you're sitting on the couch or something and there's something on TV, there's little open windows all the time that you can throw in there a bit of perspective, and it makes your kid more compassionate. My girls have massive empathy and compassion, and I think I can rule that back to always giving them perspective, because I didn't want them to be autistic kids. Autistic people are really, they can't help it, but they're very focused on their self and what they're doing in the moment. They don't really see what other people have going on. It's all about them in the moment. What they're talking about, they don't care about what you've got to talk about. It's about them, them, them. And so at an early age, I really put in the effort to, it's not always about you. There's other people that are affected by this. It's okay. And so they're actually, I always get commented on how much empathy they both have.
They do.
So that helps with parenting. Top tip there. But, take time for yourself. Like, go for a walk. Do you know what the basic thing that was really helpful? You'll laugh. Get up in the morning and watch the sun come up. And if you can't do that, watch it go down. Take a couple of minutes out of your day. Get outside. Take your shoes off. Put your feet on the grass or the earth. Touch base with nature. Just quiet, and just take a moment. I know it sounds trippy, but it's not, because
no, not at all.
It's just silence, and I call it a restart. You refresh. You just need to, for a second.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that might be a thing. You might have something else you want to do, but my kids are really drawn to water, so water for them is a big thing. They like to go for a walk and dip their feet in the ocean, or in the pool.
The trick is finding that thing that works for you.
Just find something that helps you balance for a second. And I know it's hard to find a minute in the day for yourself. Like, if I have a different life now, but I'm sure you're all still running the same life I was previously, with the hecticness, and just start making windows for yourself. It's really important.
And so in your day, we talk about it in terms of the daily grind, that's the daily. What do you do in your day that you find helps you recognize those windows, or to maybe even, like you talked about, having a plan and planning out your day? Like, do you do that sort of thing?
Sometimes. My plan a day still revolves around everybody else at the moment, but
you have routines though.
I have routines. Do you know, going to bed for me is like a ritual. I like to have a shower, and as we all do, but I think focusing on your self-care at that time before you go to bed, because the kids are in bed, your husband's watching TV. I just have a moment there for a second where I have a nice shower, put my smelly moisturisers on, and you do something with you brush your hair. It's just that moment of caring for yourself. And then I use essential oils at the moment because it makes me sleep better. But it just makes you feel nice and you feel fresh. And then if you can get literally 20 minutes to yourself in your bed, or somewhere, just cruising without anything else for a minute, I find that the most relaxing time. That's for me. That's my downtime at the end of the day. Morning's always crazy, although I have started doing yoga. Don't laugh.
Not laughing.
Terrible at it.
Not laughing.
So I decided that I cancelled my gym membership. So I decided that I would make an effort by going for a walk with the dog, because he needs a walk. And when I come home, I tell everybody to shush it and leave me alone. If they can't, because they think it's hilarious. They watch Mum do yoga, and the dog attacks me the whole time.
Yeah, that happens at my house too.
And I do that, and it makes me feel taller afterwards. But the blood runs through your body, and you feel empowered for the day. You've got everything going, and then I feel ready to start. And I've only started doing it a couple of days a week, but I feel already makes a difference.
Good. Yeah. And it's small steps, isn't it?
Small steps. Yeah. And reaching out to your friends. Look, I laugh because Kelly and I, we have this crazy relationship where we won't see each other for 6 months, and then we'll see a whole pile of each other. And the fact that we've had so massive changes and been through so much challenging moments in the last 6 months has really brought us together.
Yeah.
We could literally sit at that table and have one cup of tea and we wouldn't stop talking for 3 hours. Like we are now, sorry.
Yeah. No, but I love, and this is why I asked you to come along, because you've got so much value and so much to give, so much to offer people. And I'm super excited for you to get this book underway, because I know that's so...
It's very exciting.
I know.
I've never done anything like it.
And I can just see that it lights you up every time you talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that you have, you've given yourself that space and time to really, give yourself the opportunity to do something that you're really
passionate about. It's funny. I've never
about.
actually asked myself what I would do. And it was, I want to help people. So this book focuses, I thought, how do I start this? Because I've got lots of tools on teenage girls if you need some advice.
We'll give you a call.
Before under 15, I don't know anything after that. But I thought, where does it all start? And it's in preschool.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm aiming it at, to build resilience and self-love and confidence for children when they're in preschool.
Yeah.
So Thursday they go to school and they're new and they feel really nervous. How do you overcome that?
Yeah.
No one teaches them this.
Yeah.
And their class is all busy and there's lots of different kids in there doing different things. And so, often things go amiss when kids experience the feeling of anxiety for the first time.
Yeah.
They don't have the skills to cope with it.
Yeah.
So, I've got this book on using different tools to help them believe in themselves and overcome tricky situations. Because no one tells them to. They don't. I think parents, particularly with your first kid, you forget about, or you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that they're going to get scared or afraid or feel, seriously, exclusion, aggressive relations, and exclusion and inclusiveness. This all started for my kids when they were 4.
Yeah.
Another kid didn't want to go to daycare for 6 weeks. She's staying on the fence post.
Yeah.
And I remember going, she's 4.
Yeah.
Are you serious? And it was because the group of kids hadn't been mixed up in daycare. They'd all moved through the class together and a little posse had built up. It was over something, you didn't wear a skirt today, you can't play with us.
Yeah.
Or you're not my friend today. And your kids, it really breaks them.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd start there.
I can see volumes. I know there'll be many more to come.
Well, I don't know. I haven't drawn cartoon characters, I think, since I was in Year 4 at primary school. So I've been more of an abstract artist these days. But I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm super excited. I know it's going to help so many people. So to finish off, and thank you very much for your time, we've just got a quick fast 5 questions. So if you can answer these in either one word or one sentence, feel free. If you need to take a little bit more, there's no rules, of course.
I'll try not to. I think sorry, my worst thing is too many words. That's why I'm challenging with my children's book, because I have to
pull it in. Shorten it up. Yeah. But I do feel that everything that you've said is going to resonate with people out there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And, I just want people to really believe in themselves. I have pep talks with my kids every day because they suffer so much adversity every day with school. And we have little pep talks saying, I love you. You love yourself. You're loved. Remember to say that they're loved. And you're an amazing, beautiful person. You got this. You have a right to be at the school like everybody else and experience things like everybody else. And, don't get caught up in the drama. Find your people.
Yeah. That's a massive message for
every
people.
day.
Yeah.
And I think it's working.
That's awesome. Alrighty, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, what's your favourite travel destination, or what would be your perfect holiday?
I really like Bali.
Is there a reason?
My last holiday was really good there.
Yeah.
And I really relaxed.
Yeah.
So, I haven't really travelled. I've only been to France and Bali.
Yeah.
And France was in winter. And it was amazing. But the countryside, if you're going to France, Paris is amazing, but the countryside is so much better.
Yeah. Okay.
But Bali I like the humidity. Don't get me wrong, people hate it. I love it when you get off the plane and it hits you.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I love it. And the people are so friendly and welcoming. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. When you get 10 minutes to yourself, what's your favourite thing to do?
Read.
Yeah, we're just discussing your favourite book. Actually, you might like to recommend.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly. So when I was 15, I really loved the books by Jean M. Orr, and she was the clan of the cave bear. And so I was very inspired by the character Ayla, so much that I called my eldest daughter Ayla. So the last book sucks. I was really disappointed with the last book, but really empowering. This young girl turns into a woman, and she has to go through so much trauma and adversity in her life, and she just pushes through it. She's amazing. So yeah.
And you mentioned we sort of didn't quite get to that question about role models, so we'll just ask now. You struggled with that for a moment until we brought up that book.
We laughed because we were talking about role models, and I don't really have any. And then I thought, oh well, it's a book character. This woman wrote about it, and it's Ayla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about a role model. It can be in so many, it can come in different forms.
Yeah.
And we just need to be open to the message or whatever it is that they're giving us, because it's ultimately a gift. Yeah. They might not be meaning to give it to you, and they may not mean to give it to you in the way that you receive it, but it is a gift. Yeah. So I think it's really important that we look.
You don't close your mind to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Okay, if you could have just 10 minutes in your past, what would you do, or who would you go and see?
My grandmother. I would love to sit down with my mother's mum and have a good old chat about her youth.
Yeah,
because I feel I lost my grandparents quite young, and so I didn't have any grandparents. And I found pleasure in learning and hearing about stories from Michael's grandparents. Yeah. They're so insightful old people. They have so much experience, and they're fun. Yeah. Some of their stories are hilarious. They were young once. Yeah. They're also women that have lived through so much in their lifetime, and it's interesting. And I really wish I had that time again to ask those questions with her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good insight, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, they've got so much to share if we just listen. I remember spending a lot of time with both my grandmothers, and the one-on-one time where you get to ask them those questions is pretty special.
And it's your history, so it's relatable. Absolutely. It's part of who you are. So I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, if you could give your 16-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Believe in yourself. You are totally capable, and you're worthy.
Yeah. So that would overcome some of the doubts that you might have had over the time, do you feel?
Yeah, look, by the time I got to 16, what year was I in? I was in year 11. Yeah. And so I'd kind of gone through a whole pile of stuff and was sort of like F you to a lot of people. Yeah. I had a bit of a tough time in high school, but I never was cliquey. I had lots of different friends and a lot of different people, and I appreciated everybody who was different. So believe in yourself and that you're capable of anything at that time in your life. You really can do anything you want to. Your dreams can come true if you really want them. Yeah. So don't hesitate. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Okay, and if there could be a theme song for your life, what do you think that would be?
Oh, God.
It's a hard question. I struggle with this one.
Shit. See, I'm not really good with music.
Or let me put it this way. Seeing as you're my artist.
I like Adele. Go easy on me.
Yeah.
It's not my theme song. No. Your love is lifting me higher.
Nice.
Because you need that to keep going.
Yeah, love it.
So something like that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting and spending your time and sharing so much and sharing so openly with everyone. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure they will too.
Well, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.